Well, welcome one and all again to the weekly wrap. Why am I picking these words when I can't do R's and W's? Of what broke in the world of woke. Send us topics. I need more all the time. I have to say it's hard work sometimes, but let's just unwind on this lovely Friday as we rewind on the week of what was the week of woke here. Now, one item that I want to kind of take you through is the Jinkx Monsoon telling us we did not understand the Maestro character in Doctor Who. Oh, really? Are we about to get a black James Bond to join our black Doctor Who? Does it matter? And we have Lorraine Kelly and Boy George explaining about trans nightmares. Much more besides, of course. It's all here, so do join us. Give us a like and subscribe. And of course, we will have our what is the wokest of them all. And that is decided by myself. And of course, my co-conspirator in this, she will decide. The queen of the woke herself, got to get her on, who has a greater sense of decorum and regality than this borough bloke with his working class worldview. So, should we get her on? Rachel, chat about it, don't shout about it. The queen of the woke herself. Hiya.
Oh, darling. Hi.
No red carpet.
No red carpet. That's okay. I'm used to it. We're back.
We're back. Was there anything woke going on?
Might have been a few things here and there. You just never know.
Gee, I know. So, of course, I like to surprise you. Obviously, Rachel has her items, but I like to surprise, really. And so, of course, here's the list, so to speak. So I like to tell the viewers roughly what we're doing so they can be aware. So Jinkx Monsoon, I believe Maestro isn't bad. Brilliant black history propaganda. John Boyega on blacks in Star Wars. A black James Bond. Safe spaces for women. Misuse of toilets. Transphobic toddlers. Boy George on trans. LGBTQ education. And the BBC newsreader correcting herself. I think it's the usual diet.
I think so.
So here we go again, everybody. So as we start on that was the week that was woke, let's start with, is everybody in the UK happy at the moment with their country? Is everybody feeling good? Or should we unplug, reboot and start again? If only, yeah. It does have that vibe. It does have that vibe, doesn't it, Rachel?
It does, yeah. It does have that vibe. We need to restart. Maybe we should move to a 2-plug system.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think there is this thing. By the time you get to the weekend, forget my detox that I sometimes do. You for the week of woke, you think, you know, it's been a week, all these news issues, and somehow you need to kind of refresh from it, don't you? And I always think the best way is to moan about it.
Yeah, you can.
So, these are from little tasty ones. I mean, I'm not going to do a whole half hour on this. Can you imagine it? Disgraced XMP. Oh, well, that's a good start. Slams Kellogg's for using a monkey as the mascot for brown Cocoa Pops.
Wow.
I mean, these are big issues.
It's so massive. I mean, how long has Cocoa Pops been around for?
Yeah, and some things were drawn innocently. I mean, some things are just, you know, I never read into the Rice Krispies, you know, snap, crackle and pop. I never read into that. Did you?
No, never did. No, the only issue that I had with Cocoa Pops was that they made the milk dirty. So I wouldn't eat them.
To make it a bit dirty. Oh, God.
It was just the cocoa rubbing off into the milk, wasn't it? But I couldn't get over it.
These are all first world issues, these.
I'm over it now, trust me. I'm well over it now.
So the other thing is, obviously, Britain is a well-mannered country, and we're getting very well-mannered now. This is getting ridiculous. Please be courteous to your Muslim neighbours. Many Muslims live in this area, and dogs are considered filth in Islam. Oh God.
Well.
Sorry, I was just walking my dog in this park. Sorry, I've now insulted Islam. So
Oh,
please keep your dogs on a leash and away from the Muslims who live in this community. What?
uh, well,
Do I do I ask everybody, are you Muslim?
uh,
And then I know if my dog's okay.
well. You know what? You know what? We're a Christian country. What does the Bible say?
A tooth for a tooth. No, no.
It's full of contradictory.
It is, it is, it
Yeah.
is. So, yeah, I, what gets people going and what gets people thinking this is a version of being polite? I think it's a version of being stupid.
This
These are
is not
things
a
that should
version
never
of
be
being polite.
discussed.
No,
Sorry?
no, no. This I can't remember what I said now, but I have Muslim friends,
Yeah,
and one of my Muslim friends is very much no. I've moved here. I need to respect your ways. So
yeah.
great.
That, that is where how it works. Having been an immigrant to Australia, you do just
Yeah,
fit in. You
I
don't
lived in
start saying,
Japan.
there you go.
You
Yeah.
have to do it their way.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, especially in Japan.
Especially in Japan. Well, first crab on the rank. This will get people going, especially our Doctor Who friends. I don't know if you saw this on the left
um,
on TikTok.
no, I haven't. Interestingly enough, I've kind of sort of skirted past some Doctor Who news since the Disney stuff that was given to me. I heard vaguely about Peter Davison, but not this. Go
This
on.
I only saw today. So,
Oh.
Jinkx Monsoon on TikTok.
Mhm.
It's a 2 minute video. Talks about that they're asked about their role. You know, it's one of those where they just ask quick
Mm.
questions and they
Yeah.
answer. And well, I'll enlighten you. I'll go big screen so you can see what Jinkx Monsoon said about Maestro, because obviously we'll learn an awful lot about what we actually saw. So here we go. I don't always know how to describe it because it's more than just playing a character in a TV show. It's more than a cameo. It's more than playing a role, Rachel, that was so beautifully custom fit to me. Oh, I need to go here. Rachel, just written for him. That was
Yep.
it.
Yep. That's all it's written for Jinx.
Lucky bee, lucky bee. I tell you what. So, beautifully custom fit to me by a prolific writer that I admire very much, Russell T Davies. It's not just that it was directed by an incredible director, who I can't name, Shooty, Millie, everyone I worked with on this. It was incredible. But the most significant thing to me, Rachel, about this role is that it showed the world who I was as an actor and what I was capable of as an actor. And I had no idea how many people out there would resonate with this character that's a bad person, but also has a lot of complexity. I mean, Rachel, I'll just say straight away, was there any complexity in the Devil's Cord?
No. No. I won't say an actor's bad, and I'm not going to say that, but it was a very much I'm now going to shout. I am now going to do this. I am now going to do that. It was all very placed. And when you act, you want it to flow a bit. You know, you got to get those states of tension correct, because if it's just wham bam, thank you, ma'am, it's either too much or it's too little, and it's it's easier to say pull it back than it is to step up your game. But well, I don't agree with that. I
Yeah.
mean, Jinx can think that if that's what
Mind you, the other thing,
wants.
Rachel, is, it's a shame because of the way I've done it. I thought I can't see your face at the same time because I want you to be able to see it. But that bit when he says it was most significant because it showed, and I thought he was going to say something about representation of drag or I don't know,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. But he didn't. He said the most significant thing to me is that it showed the world who I was as an actor and what I was capable of as an actor. Oh, you mean it's like a show reel done by Russell T for you?
But
Oh, wow.
that's not how acting works. You're supposed to make it believable and just believable. I don't even know how to address that even more. If it's showcasing you as an actor, then we have to question if that's if that's the right role for you. But yeah, show reel is essentially what you just said. Showcasing yourself as an actor is a show reel. This is not supposed to showcase you as an actor. This is supposed to be you portraying a character and making it outstanding, or playing it to the best of your ability.
You see, I thought, for example, I mean, knowing your acting background, I thought when you see this quote, you'll be going, well, it's nice if you can get it, mate. But basically, you're saying that no audition process, the role was picked for you and written for you. On
Mhm.
top of that, with Disney money, the whole episode is designed to showreel my talent. Really? Is this a? I mean, that's
But really, all it was written that way with Jinkx in mind as a drag queen role. So I guess Jinkx isn't wrong in that sense. It was to showcase the drag.
But I do remember at the time, and you'll remember because you'll have
Mm,
talked about it on your channel
mm,
too. The the issue about because it's a drag queen who
yeah.
could be played by a male or female, it's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
actually depriving somebody of. I mean, the Maestro could be played either way.
I think Jinkx did say that it was a role that, could have been taken from a woman. I think
Yes, I
they
think so.
acknowledged that, but they're also aware that it was written for Jinkx. So yeah, and RTD said it was.
Yes, which
Mm.
is really nice. Once you're in, aren't you?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. No, it's nice being in. I've only ever been in once, so to speak.
I,
I still had to go through the process of an audition, but because they knew who I was and how I worked, it made it easier for them to make a decision. But yeah, it's nice
yeah.
to be in and not audition at all.
Yeah, sounds stunning with all that Disney money as well. What a
I'm
showcase.
waiting for a day when I'm approached without having to audition because I auditions are so exposing. It's
Oh,
unreal.
horrible, horrible, horrible. And I had no idea how many people out there would resonate with this character Maestro. That's a bad person, but also has a lot of complexity. The Maestro is a villain in the story, and also this character mentions things like, Daddy was so mean to me, and Daddy punished me. This character alludes to pain, and I believe this is a character that isn't bad, but hasn't learned how to be good yet. Would you like a sick bucket yet, Rachel? Because I'm just thinking, what the hell are we talking about?
Isn't the daddy supposed to be toy maker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know, like father, like son, I guess, if you could say.
I mean, the daddy bit was what got a lot of us going, was because,
Is it
that
Daddy the Big Boss or something?
well, because the daddy, because wasn't it, the maestro told off that music teacher for using the wrong pronouns,
Yeah,
and then the kid said, but daddy, and it's like, it was just, the whole thing was just
it
a
was weird.
madness.
It was weird.
Well, if Maestro, sorry, not Maestro, if Jinkx Monsoon is saying that this was a complex character, which I thought was, I mean, I say theatrical. Yeah, it's not the word you'd say, I know, but I say theatrical from my meaning, which is just this is so staged and it was so stereotypical in one way. I mean,
Mm.
in the theatre, in certain productions, you do need that kind of setup, but I just thought, God, this is just so simplistic.
It's a daddy issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I,
Character's got daddy issues, so the character may not be necessarily bad. It's like I think I could probably think of a better example here, but it's like Elphaba in Wicked. It's in Wizard of Oz. The Wicked Witch is, she's evil, right? But they give her a backstory and they make up that she's good, but because of things that go wrong in her life, this is how she starts behaving. And still deep down, she is good at the end of it. It's a bit like that. Every bad character was good to begin with.
but you know what,
But
Rachel? It
some
sounds
characters
like
just
to
get
me,
bad.
it's like a pantomime character actor saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, my fairy godmother, she's got issues," and it brings a lot of complexity to the situation. I don't just throw sweets at the kids. Sorry,
But
I'm more than that.
but
Um, I'm very nuanced, and within my character, the godmother, she has a hinterland of. She feels a bit depressed, and you're thinking, oh, look, you're a pantomime bloody fairy godmother. Get over it. You're bigging your part up too far here. I thought the Maestro had no complexity at all.
No,
I
none.
thought I thought basically the Maestro being written for a drag queen was played very like a drag queen, very elevated, very
And
exaggerated.
I think that was the whole point.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I don't even know if Jinkx would know this, but it's not like, it doesn't appear, excuse me, let me say this, that the method has been applied or some form of acting technique has been applied. I don't know what acting techniques you would apply to drag per se, but when we go to build our characters, we look at the beginning, we look at the end, and how we achieve it and get to that point. No matter what role it is that you're doing, it could be a child's TV show, it could be child's immersive theatre. You still got to work out how you get to that point from like the beginning, the middle to the end, and you've got to ask yourself those questions. But I don't think it was done here.
This is this is
It would
when
appear not.
when you see posts on Twitter and that, like about Doctor Who over the years, Jodie Whittaker, trans characters, and various things, and you see where certain people go, "They're my person, back off," and people get tribal, and
Mm.
I'm finding that Maestro Jinkx Monsoon here seems to be making this simplistic part. I mean, what is it? What's this Kinley or something? Because this character alludes to pain, and I believe this is a character that isn't bad, but hasn't learned how to be good yet. And basically, all Jinkx is saying is, I had 3 words to say. Daddy punished me, you see, I think I remember, Rachel. I'm sure you do. That when these lines were said, it was done in such a camp, big bottom lip. Oh, Daddy punished me, and I thought it was cartoon. There was no way I was going, oh, this person's in pain. I can feel their heart is no.
No,
And now,
it's childish.
sorry.
It was childish.
Yes, if that was acting to say that this character had complexity and was damaged, and oh no, the line was there. You didn't make anything of it.
No, it shows in the face. And
Mm,
with what, obviously, this is this bit where it happens, isn't it?
yeah,
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 that you've got in the background. That didn't allow for it. It was a stage moment. It was very staged. It was very pompous. It was very childlike. There was no depth to it whatsoever. They were trying to do it with the mood and the lighting and things like that, and whatever the storyboards were. When I guess it was all a show, really, but it just didn't. It just doesn't come off that way. Jinkx can go ahead and say that. It's fine, but I didn't see it, and I don't think that there was enough screen time to justify it.
yeah,
There was
yeah.
next to none, because like, she was gone pretty quickly after that, wasn't she? So
Mm.
mm.
So there was a lot of pain that I missed. Obviously, I'm a bad reviewer. I missed all the pain.
Oh, okay. So am I then.
I think other people. Oh, here we go. I think other people felt like that about Maestro. So even though I was playing this crazy mythological character, it connected with the audience in a way that's just like still being brought up time to me on the street. It's very special. Basically, Jinkx Monsoon goes down Canal Street at midnight, and somebody says, "I saw you once on Doctor Who. Oh, I love you, babes."
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that would be perhaps fans of Jinkx, because Jinkx
Yeah.
obviously won RuPaul, so twice, I believe, and is obviously talented at being a drag queen. I know that she sings very well. Sorry, I say she because drag queen, my head's saying drag queen. Um, Sings very well and talented in that respect. So maybe a load of Jinkx's fans watched it and said,
Yeah,
"I loved
um,
you in it."
maybe they
It's
loved. I
fine.
mean, it was a complex character, very hurt character. It was a highly sexually suggestive one. Remember that baton with the blooming mouth? Yeah,
I'd have been interested, perhaps, to have seen like them bring back Neil Patrick Harris and
mm,
Jinkx in the last series, just to see how that would have gone down.
Well,
I think Jinkx might have been more than just a tad upstaged by Neil. Not intentionally either.
very much so. I mean, everything was camp about it.
Oh, yeah.
Ta-da! And all that stuff. And well, even the deaths and everything was highly camp and
Mm.
elevated. I found it one of the most surreal stories
It was
anyway.
very surreal. There were good
Yeah.
things about it, like, the cinematography is quite good and the lighting's very, very good. I like Maestro's costume, the Bette Midler type thing.
Mm.
Bette Midler, Winifred Sanders' Hocus Pocus. That's what I
Oh,
mean.
right.
Not actual Bette Midler. Bette Midler don't dress like that.
However, I think you may remember at the time one of
Yes,
our
I
Who
do.
pets did do Jinkx Monsoon, and I
Yeah,
thought very well actually. That hairpiece was very good. So there
very
we
good.
go. That was the Jinkx Monsoon. Oh, breaking the fourth wall and all that stuff. I mean, no,
Ooh,
please.
yeah, nah.
Boring, boring.
Mm.
So, next cab on the rank, and I need to do a correction here, Rachel,
Oh,
because
okay.
you may have been on, I'm sure you were on many of my shows when I mentioned the Smoggy Queens, and I actually was slagging it off,
Yes,
before it comes on. Now,
yes.
I do have to be truthful, it was made in my hometown, but even then I was going, oh.
Yep.
Well, they've recommissioned it. Doctor Who hasn't been. Well, they've recommissioned Smoggy Queens before they have Doctor Who. I mean, go fathom. And but I must admit, I did watch it, and uh, we loved it.
Oh,
Absolutely loved
okay.
it. It
Good.
wasn't. It wasn't what I expected,
Right,
which is
yeah.
probably good since I was slating it. Um, but yeah, no, it's really good. And Mark Benton, really does carry it well, and he plays it as the drag queen mam.
Okay.
And it sells Middlesbrough really nicely, I have to say. It's got nice northern humour, and it actually works. So I'm just going to put a correction out there.
But I will say this, doesn't that say a lot about people's mistrust of programming given the
Yeah.
fact that that was your reaction?
Yeah, because we
Uh,
were starting to say
mm,
we were on the back of drag queens talking to toddlers in story time. We were,
yes.
we're off the back of all this going, BBC. I mean, God, I mean, the truth was, I was saying why they're doing, oh, they're making a program in Middlesbrough. They don't do many, and they're doing it about drag queens. There's none here. I mean, it was like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
And it's like, and I've seen other recommissioning of other programs in the region, and what they seem to be doing is they're picking northern areas that haven't been on the telly for a while, and they're just imposing a metropolitan thing on the area, and we just have to be grateful and say thanks for the investment. That seems to be what's going on.
Okay.
But the talent is there, and actually, the person who wrote it, Phil Dunning, is from Middlesbrough, and actually, the humour did work. So I have to
Okay.
stand corrected.
Fair enough.
And so Smaggy Queens is back with the wigs, the big laughs, and the brilliantly chaotic energy that made us all fall in love with Dickie and the gang. The show is something special, says John Petrie, BBC Director of Comedy. Were you aware they had a Director of Comedy still at the BBC?
No. That's hilarious.
I wasn't aware there were many laughs at the BBC.
Sorry, that was a really bad joke. I said that's hilarious. No, I didn't. I wasn't aware. No.
There we go. So, I'm back on track now.
Okay.
So, God, this came up again, and I thought, oh, here we go.
Oh, this one.
Propaganda time again. Yes, brilliant. I mean, I feel as though I've seen it before, but it's a version of it before. Because let's face it, this has been doing the rounds in different ways, hasn't
Yeah.
it, on various programs, and it was flashing up again. And I thought, well, it's just not going away. I heard Keir Starmer say just this last week, although he might flip on it now. He changes his mind about after he said something, but he was talking about that immigration has built London and built Britain, and I thought you really are
Mm.
pushing the Windrush generation beyond the limit here. I mean, they drove buses and they worked in the NHS. I'm not sure much of building was going on. The Irish immigrants built a lot of Britain.
Mhm.
I just think there's a lot of niche. They're picking on a certain ethnic minority, these politicians, to say they built Britain, when actually there were other ethnic minorities that probably did, but they're not mentioned.
No, it's because they're not the right skin color.
And
And I will say that, and it's funny enough. It's the it's racist towards white people, but it's also racist towards black people.
Asian people and Indian and
Yeah,
subcontinent,
yeah.
because they're not mentioned. They help build Brenda just as equally, surely. But the argument is too twisted, because Sadiq Khan will go on about it in London perpetually, that London was built on immigration. You think, no, no, sorry, you need to go back 30 years and you're talking a load of bull. But
Mm.
but even then, what you're saying is you're talking about a metropolitan Sadiq Khan. You're not talking about the northeast or the northwest.
Mm.
Sorry, mate, you can't impose that on the rest of the country. Lots of people hadn't seen any immigration of any number at all in 40 years ago
Mm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so this nonsense that the whole of the British Isles has been built on the back of something. No, we are being platformed here with something. That's what I really strongly think. So of course they take us back to all these periods, and the same actor, bless him, plays all of the parts. And I'm thinking, is this fancy dress? What's this?
Sorry. Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, maybe the closest is the middle one, the middle two pictures, but
Mm.
uh,
I,
maybe hit and miss.
I know. So you
I'm trying
you
to work
know,
out what era, because the picture's a bit blurry. Is it
let's have a look.
Regis? Is it
Yeah, it's a bit
Regency?
Bridgerton, isn't it?
Bridgerton, yeah. That would be the closest, I would say. But
Yeah.
middle class maybe, and lower class, not up there with the higher, very Bridgerton, higher
So,
class.
so you just think, oh God, here we go. It's propaganda. It's not education. It's propaganda. Let's call it for what it is. And of course, the Tudors. I love doing the Tudors
Oh,
too. But
wow!
there's the Tudors. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, did you know that in the Tudor period, England looked like Lagos? Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I mean, we are aware that there must have been black people back then, because we have them mentioned in Shakespeare's plays, but
Yeah.
maybe not to that extent.
And it just makes me wonder now. Oh, RTD, it's such a shame. You made our doctor, our precious 15th doctor, say he didn't feel at home in the British Isles because of the skin colour in 2025. But if you'd have taken him back to Tudor England, he'd have felt so safe.
Very safe. And what was it in the Shakespeare Code? They even addressed that
Yeah.
Martha was a different skin color in the Shakespeare. Was it
Yeah, I
Shakespeare
think,
Code? Yeah, Shakespeare Code. Yeah,
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 they dealt with it better actually on
yeah. I
in
think so.
the
I think so.
no speeches, but he's one of this is I mean, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
This is
yeah,
just a rumor.
it is just a rumor.
Yeah.
It's just interesting, as I said in the preface, that is it time for a black James Bond after we've had a black Doctor Who, both British icons?
Hmm.
Does it matter? Was my question as well. It's doing the rounds at the moment.
Hmm.
Amazon obviously has bought it, so they've got James Bond now. They can do what they want. I
Can
think
do
part
it.
of the agreement is it has to be a British actor.
All
That's
right.
the
Yeah.
but obviously British means a lot of things, of course. So yeah, I don't know the actor very well. Do you?
No, not really. But I saw this making the rounds, that Aaron Pierre was apparently officially confirmed, but I don't know how true that is. But I thought I would send it to you,
Mm.
because it does beg to those questions that you were asking. Is it time for that to happen? And I would say no, just create new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, somebody was going on. I mean, I could see some people saying, "Oh, here we go again."
Mm,
We've been forced to go on the defensive to read Ian Fleming to try and prove that he can't be black, or or he has to be white.
mm,
And I think this is the problem, Rachel. The whether the next James Bond or the next Doctor Who is black or white
mm.
isn't it shouldn't be an issue. But the issue is at the time of where we are now, if any production company does tend to go ethnic, so much, I think they're asking for backlash from the society
Uh,
because the society is very sensitive at the moment.
Very sensitive, and that's because all the tokenism, all the DEI that they've been doing, you've put them on that knife's edge, and they're like, "Don't do it. Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Oh no!" And then they have this adverse reaction. Whereas if they didn't do that, then maybe people would be more accepting.
Yeah, I mean, having just had the Black Doctor Who, which is
Mm,
an iconic 62-year-old program, as
yeah.
we all know, and then to maybe with another 60-odd-year-old, franchise, I don't know. I think the timing is all of a sudden, three buses at once. It's like, oh, hold on, let's
It's
just,
quite a lot.
yeah, let's just do representation at a moderate pace. Let's not look as though there's an agenda. I
Hmm.
think as soon as the British public or anybody senses an agenda, they'll kick back. You were just saying about living in Japan. Japan would kick back if they
They
felt the
would.
diet was forced on them.
Yes, yes. There was something. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what it was for now, but they were kicking back against something, and it was to do with the samurai and this supposed samurai in this. I think it was in a game. I don't really follow gaming all that much, but I did see this, and this belief that he existed, or I don't know really, but Japan were like, no,
Yeah,
and
and I
they
wish,
weren't having it.
and
They
I think
weren't
there's a
having
lot
it.
of our viewers, British viewers, who just wish
Mhm.
people would say, "No, can we just keep a bit of a template of the sense of Britishness, please?"
It's like
Um,
a representation. There was someone that was saying to me on Twitter with the last TARDIS team, this was a little while ago, was that he no longer saw his representation in the TARDIS.
yeah.
If you understand what I mean, because there was no white people in the TARDIS, and I get that. I totally understand that.
Yeah, and everybody, unlike in the 90s, we're now getting forced to notice skin color when I actually think a lot more people, the
Mhm.
media seem to think we all had issues. No, no,
Yeah,
no. I
no,
think the nation was becoming quite color blind,
yeah.
actually. You lot think you're it, and now you've forced a nation, you've educated them backward to start
Mhm.
looking at all this stuff, and now you've made us look at it. You better behave.
So
Um,
I agree that they have to make changes to the demographics because our demographics have changed. That obviously is understandable, but not to the point where it unwrites history.
It's interesting, Rachel, isn't it? Because it's like chicken or the egg, isn't it? I know what you mean. You're right. I mean, everything should represent where we are. It's just that there's an awful lot of people saying we had no say about this change in the first place. So now you're saying what we see on the TV has to represent the forced change we didn't agree with. And you're going, it's a really complicated one because some people are going, who said, when Tony Blair opened the doors, you know what he was like with
Mm,
Europe and said, we'll have everybody.
mm.
Yeah, nobody actually said they wanted that. Some people might have been comfortable with it, but it was never voted on. And so if now we're told we need programs with this, with this, with this, people are going, but I was never asked my opinion ever. And, and it hits, Rachel, I think, in interesting areas
Mm.
because, of course, it bleeds into everything. So if I show this is TFL for London, yeah?
I saw this, yes, making the rounds, yeah. Mm,
Yes, so of course, I could pick, like you, I could pick so many examples, and you go, well, this is why I think the nation is sensitive because we're told to be, well, non-racist. I agree with that. But then you see adverts that I actually would put akin to when we saw in Remembrance of the Daleks in the window, the classic bed and breakfast, no coloured, that they did that sign.
mm.
And you think, no Irish immigrants at one point it said as well, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And you think, that was bad.
Mm, yes.
Well, now we've got the reverse version, and that's not better.
No, it doesn't. It's not helping anyone.
Nah.
Nah. What you'll need, oh, this is your skill set just to be from a different ethnicity.
Yeah. You must be black, Asian, and minority ethnic background.
How about eligible to be able to work in an internship effectively?
Well, yeah, because the internship is about public relations. So
Exactly.
I don't think your skin color, what's that going to do with PR?
I
Um,
don't think it has anything to do with that. What I'd be more interested in is, can you do it?
Well, I thought that's what odd. Well, that's what a job interview and application is supposed to be. Right? It's called
Yes.
merit, isn't it?
Yes.
Um, but and it bleeds into everything because, of course, it seems that actors in the last few months, Rachel, are really getting stuck into this issue, aren't they?
Yeah.
So John Boyega says Star Wars is so white that a black person existing in it is a big deal. Toxic fans are okay with us playing the friend, but we can't touch their heroes. And just as Nina Infinity from Twitter here says, this article is so annoying. Why does John Boyega think that fans will respond positively to this? The biggest points of contention in Star Wars fandom when it came to Disney taking over was how badly they treated Finn. And the article even mentions how John blamed Disney for that in 2020, which
Yes.
led to Disney reaching out to him about it. And now we're back to blaming fans and basically calling everybody racist. This is getting old.
Can I just say that I think his first Star Wars movie came out whilst I was in Japan, and I was just like, "Oh, it's an English speaking movie. I think I might just go and watch it." I'm not the biggest of Star Wars fans, as you know. I've seen a lot of them up until the end of his first one. I didn't take to the character Rey
Yeah.
very much, so I never watched beyond that point. He was one of the best bits about it. Him and
Yeah.
Adam Driver.
Yeah. And weren't the. I haven't watched this for a long time either, but
Yeah.
wasn't his character almost like a bit ambiguous about his sexuality almost?
Something like that. I mean, I've only ever seen it once. I don't go out of my way to rewatch Star
No.
Wars once. It's sort of a one and done with me, you know. I've seen it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I vaguely remember the ambiguity around his character. So,
Yeah.
mm,
It's just
yeah.
disappointing that
Mm,
it's like, you'll watch an Oscar speech, you'll watch an award ceremony, RTD, David Tennant, I could list them all. And they're just going for that, for this, for this. You can see, the issues. It must be race, or it
mm,
must be trans, or it must be Trump, of
mm.
course. Those three.
Of course, yes.
And but of course this one, I know you spotted it, I spotted it as well as later on, but it's a bit, well, I don't know, I'm saying it's just funny. I mean, ITV's struggling at the moment, and of
Yeah.
course, they're cancelling so many programs, and yet they still think they're in this little world. So if
Oh,
anybody's not sure,
Lorraine.
yeah, there's a lot of things in this little chat actually.
Yes.
um so
Yeah.
I'll just show everybody the actual transcript that I made. But basically, Lorraine Kelly, who obviously, when people parody her, they'll always say, she's dead innocent and, oh, are you all right? And
I don't think she is.
no, well, actually, when you look at the transcript, people can make their own mind up here. So
Yeah.
basically, if you can see, I've got a title, and then when it says Lorraine, I've put it in blue. So the blue bits are in the transcript are Lorraine, and obviously the green bits, yes, I forgot to put green, don't worry, is Boy George. So here we go. So she says to Boy George, "Oh, it's been very tough." I mean, that it's very,
Very.
and then because she knows he does trans issues and talks
Mm.
about it. And he says, well, usually with trans kids, they inform the adult, unlike gay kids, because he was making an argument that gay kids don't tell their parents that they're gay, rather than trans kids do. But then he was explaining that it's only in how they behave, so they're not saying anything really. And then he was saying things like little girls not acting like a little girl should. All right. This idea that a parent pushes their kid to be trans is so ridiculous. I've got friends who've got kids that are trans, and it's a nightmare. And then when they were talking about J.K. Rowling, he says J.K. Rowling in the movie, she has created this beautiful magical world. In the real life, she is a muggle. Now, I'll stop there for a second because I know you do a lot on J.K. Rowling
Yeah,
and
yeah.
various things, of course.
Mm.
But, oh,
Ooh, at least he can actually acknowledge that her imagination is good, I suppose.
it
Mm.
still falls into the trap of bloke slagging off woman for defending women.
Yeah, and that's what it boils down to. He got into a bit of an online spat with her. Maybe it
Yeah.
was at the time of recording about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago,
You
and
get
it was just. Uh, And I think this is what has resulted in this conversation.
I
But
s- so ITV that is struggling. It's a fact. They're
yeah.
cutting back on Loose Women, and I think Lorraine Kelly's program's been cut. There's so many programs that have been cut. The budget is tight. It's the same with the BBC. Times are hard,
Mm,
and yet they are still playing this stuff. So Lorraine Kelly and Boy George are basically saying it's a terrible world for
mm.
trans, talking about trans kids, the cast report, excuse me, um, and it's okay in certain parts of the media to actually make J.K. Rowling like the baddie. It's like
It's
what?
not. And I think what they're failing to remember is this is daytime TV. This
Uh-huh.
is on what Lorraine's on in the. Is
It's
she in
about
on the
yeah,
morning?
about nine,
Right.
yeah.
So if a parent has got their little child at home, right, and their little child's playing on the floor whilst perhaps mum's watching the rain, that child could be absorbing that information. It's amazing what they can absorb at that age. And whilst they might not say anything at first, a few weeks later, they might suddenly go, "Oh, this was what was said. I heard something like that. What does that mean?"
Yeah.
And then suddenly you've got this complicated conversation to have with your child. Well, I say complicated, or it's a conversation that you'd want to dodge with your child in most cases with parents.
And Boy George,
Yeah.
we've had our time talking about gay rights. I don't think the Marilyn Boy George gender fluid moment, gender bending they called it in the early 80s, helped.
No.
It helped PR for them to get a career and make profit for themselves. Let's be honest, commercialism.
Mm.
The gender bending probably kept me in the closet for longer. I'll put it out there.
Mm.
He will say it was Mrs. Thatcher and Clause 28 because that's the trendy thing to say. I was in a Catholic school, it'll have made no bloody difference. Um, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have come out at school anyway. Clause 28, Catholic school or not, it was a time. So when he says, and now the issue is trans. No, it's a different issue. I was in the closet partly out of cowardice, partly because of the situation then anyway, and partly because there was no necessity. When I'm 12, who cares? I didn't need to out myself because I could actually just get on with my homework, play football, and it's an issue that I knew I had to deal with later, but at 12,
At
I
12.
didn't need I just didn't need to make the decision, did I?
No, 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 you
And the
didn't.
decision, what I mean by that, everybody, is obviously I knew, but the decision is to then acknowledge it. There was no need to at 12. So I don't understand this one. And obviously, I've got skin in the game. He says he's got a friend who's got a trans kid. Well, yeah, I was ahead of you. I had trans kids in my office a lot. And a lot of them were autistic. And a lot of them, when they left school, were not trans. I'll just say that.
And I'm also going to say something here. So he's saying that what is it? The like little girls not acting like a little girl should, right? You're looking at a woman who never acted like a little girl should. I never did what was expected of me. I had Cindy dolls and I barely played with them. I would barely touch them. I had dolls that I would barely touch. They just sort of maybe I'd play with them once in a while or something like that. Or the one of the things that I would quite often do is perhaps get
Torture them.
uh, well, yeah, maybe just a bit. No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I had like Cindy beds and sofas and things like that, and I had the horse riding Cindy and cycling Cindy. What I would do was I would clear out the bottom of my wardrobe, open up my wardrobe, set them up a little house, put them inside where they had to go and shut the door on them and then leave them there. I wouldn't do anything else with them. I was mean. Or I'd cut their hair. And
Yes.
yeah, that was a common one. And I would rather be playing with my brothers or playing with trains or something like that. I didn't really do things that girls did. I was a tomboy. That's what it was called. And That's not me saying to my mum, "Oh, I'm trans.
Yes, because
Let's
that's what he
go."
was. That's what he was saying in this. There was an earlier bit that I've chopped because it just went on for too long, and he was saying basically in their behaviour
Mm.
they are saying stuff to their
No,
parents.
they're
Well,
not.
actually,
They're not saying it.
yeah, they're not. And he was comparing it to if you are campus Christmas or extremely effeminate, your mum and dad know you're gay. Well, that's a different issue because I'm not effeminate. You know that there are certain kids. I know I've taught them myself, and you probably are thinking, well, I'm guessing one day they'll say they're gay, but you know they have to go on the journey themselves.
Yeah.
But the way they talk and present themselves, you're going, okay.
Yeah.
Well, but that's not them speaking to us. They don't know themselves. And so he's conflating too many different issues, and he's actually conflating gender and sexuality and everything there because being gay and being trans, ooh, not quite the same thing at all.
No.
Very dangerous topic. I thought we dealt with this in the Supreme Court. But that was the
Clearly not.
first bit. Yeah. But I agree with you on the tomboy thing and other language that you say about boys that you're not supposed to. Do you ever good? Here's innocent Lorraine Kelly. Do you think we will ever get to a point where I would love it to be, by the way, where it really, really doesn't matter? Because obviously, Rachel, did you see that? She's nice. And her question is saying, can we just all love each other?
You notice it's a bit of a closed question as well.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think? Not like. What do you think if? No.
And
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
isn't it
remember,
lovely?
I remember with the gender bending times. I remember the very first time Boy George went on Noel Edmonds's Late Breakfast Show. It was
Oh yeah.
called then, and it was a. I remember sitting, you know, all families sit together. It was a good show, and Boy George appeared, and that's the first time I think it's the first time I'd seen Boy George on a show, even before Top of the Pops maybe. And we'd heard of him, and we'd heard Karma Chameleon once maybe or twice on the radio. And I think Noel Edmonds said, "Are you a man or a woman?" Because there was a point where part of the marketing was kind of, "What is this?" You know, and
Mm.
Boy George played on that. I'm not telling you, I'm ambiguous.
He was quite when he was younger. I've seen pictures of him when he was younger because obviously that one of those wretched millennials. But we don't go into that. And he is quite androgynous, isn't he?
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
back then, you can see he's a man now, much more so. But back then, he was quite
Yeah, it was a
androgynous.
very, and it was because I remember looking, yeah, and he
Mm,
played on that. That was, I know it
of
said Boy
course,
George, but
yeah.
it played on it, and so it's a bit naughty now, you know what he's doing. Anyway, why can't we all love each other? Says Lorraine Kelly, and then he says, "Look, having friends who are trans who are going through a very tough time, it's just like." Let's be fair about stuff. Let's talk and we can all have our points of view. But in the end, we are all just people trying to blunder through life. Well, right. Okay, so this is kind of just
Oh,
saying, can we all just
I think
shut
that's
up a bit?
Lorraine that says that. That's Lorraine.
Oh,
Yeah,
it might be. It might be.
yeah,
You know me. You know,
yeah.
I might have ballsed up. Right. Okay. So that's also no one goes into the loot. That and then yeah, I've switched the
Yeah,
wrong color.
yeah,
Haven't I?
yeah. That's
Lloyd George
George.
says also no one goes into the loo to hang out. It's a horrible place, smelly, stinky, horrible.
Mm.
I thought he was talking about the men's toilets then, not women's toilets. Because Cagney and Lacey lived in the toilets. I remember from the cop show in New York. I mean, it was famous. Cagney and Lacey were always in their the women's toilets away from the men's office, and they were talking about
And
everything.
we move in packs.
Yeah, I know that a lad will go to the loo in a nightclub and they're out
Yeah.
in seconds, whereas the girlfriends, all the girls go in as a pack and they're in there for a while. They're
Yes,
no doubt slagging us all off, and they all come back out again.
I can confirm that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe not the slagging you all off, but I can confirm that's true. We do
So,
that. It's
but
a
but
hangout place for women.
but don't you think what Boy George has said then is actually he's referring more to his hinterland of basically lads' toilets, isn't he? He's not. I don't think women go, "Oh my God, this abomination." I don't think it's the same in the
There
woman's
are some
toilet.
women's toilets that are like that, and if it's daytime, women are more likely to just go to to the loo and then come back out. But when we're out in the nightclub,
Yeah.
when we've had a few,
Because
we're in there.
I've heard weird stuff like women can almost pass the toilet roll underneath. I mean, they actually almost cooperate sometimes.
Yes, we do.
Oh, sorry, in a no. How? What? No, no. You try and make sure in a man's if you're in a man's cubicle, you try and make sure your shoes are central. They
Mm.
can't encroach. You can't just flop, sit down, and have your leg. Oh God, my leg's near the. No, 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 no. Got to be right in the center.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
right, lads?
yeah. Quite often, random stranger next to you will go, "Got any toilet paper?"
Oh no, if that happened in a man's toilet, it
Yeah,
means something
no
else.
problem. Straight underneath. No looking, just the hand goes under.
Oh God, no, no, that's beyond the pale in a man's toilet.
Yeah,
And
it's
then of
two
course,
completely different territories.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he's imposing his ideas on a woman's toilet, I think. And anyway, of good old Lorraine Kelly says, why does it boil down to toilets? I don't quite know why.
Well, because
Um,
they made it the topic of conversation.
yeah, and Lorraine Kelly, I'm going to help you because I know it sounds so nice. Why can't people just love each other? Why are they talking about toilets? Okay,
Mm.
then, here we go. I'll give you some facts. Significant increase in voyeurs taking indecent images of female athletes at swimming competitions in the changing rooms, in the toilets. Swim in England warns of this increase. 48 incidents reported at competition events since January 2024. Some consider quitting the sport. Incidents expected to rise. That's why, Lorraine Kelly, because one incident for a young girl is bad enough. Never mind a woman. It's supposed to be a space where you just go and do your business and you come back, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I saw.
So
Oh no, it doesn't matter.
it's just when the media, well, some of these media people want to do this, which is why can't we just be beautiful people? You're going, yes, yes, it would be nice if the planet's like that, but half the planet's at war, half the planet hates each other because of religion, half the planet's full of bigotry. Sorry, Lorraine Kelly, open your eyes. Stop it. I mean, God, stop being so kind of blinkered that oh, if only everybody was like me,
Oh, but
you
she's
know.
so lovely.
And yeah, I kind of like her style in many ways, but you just think,
I
oh, Lorraine,
no,
stop pretending you're naive.
I I like her style. I think she's very good at what she
Yeah.
does. But that naivety there, she knows really. She knows. I get what she's saying, but she knows.
What I'll give her, I mean, what I'll say is I do like her style in many
Mhm.
ways, and
Yeah.
I think it's worked because that harmlessness in her morning little show has lasted 40 years, and the
Yeah.
reason it's lasted 40 years is because she hasn't upset anybody. Therefore, you could argue, also played a very clever game. Do you know what I mean? Jeremy Kyle in out. You know what I mean? And Lorraine Kelly, hi, yeah, I love what you're wearing. 40 years. That's how it works.
It's approach.
Yeah.
Mm.
And of course, even Pinot Ferries know that stuff Lorraine Kelly doesn't. These toilets are not to be used for cottaging. I love the French though, said toilet. Bum sex. I just think I went to the French not have. So anyway, Lorraine Kelly, I'm teaching you here. It's an education, this. So there you go. But
Oh,
you showed this, and it's also to do with toilets, isn't it?
this is also to do with toilets. This is Lily Tino. Lily Tino is very controversial. Now, I haven't covered this on my channel this week because obviously I'm going away, and so I'm just focusing on going away. So I put it to you. So Lily Tino went to Disney World a little while ago and did it on the pretense of having been banned and made it out that, you know, that was the case because people were saying that because of the video that was filmed last year on TikTok at Disneyland. And it was all to do with how the corn dog is going to be whatever. Okay. So referring to genitalia as food in a children's theme park. So Lily went back and to Disney World got in through the gate, then had to film themselves saying that because they were in Florida, they know that Florida's a bit conservative, so they're just going to go and use the women's bathroom because they're a woman. So, I got a tinkle, so why not? So that's what Lily went and did, apparently. And then Lily was like, I peed standing up, everything was just fine, I didn't feel threatened. And then Lily got misgendered at a restaurant and then suddenly didn't feel safe. And then get this, Lily then went around the bathrooms at Disney World taking photographs of themselves inside with people in the background. Yeah, with women in the background, and rating the bathrooms out of 10. And that apparently is illegal in the state of Florida. And it's illegal anyway for trans people to not use the bathroom that is,
Yeah.
they've got to use the bathroom that corresponds with their biological sex. That's the law in Florida. Inside somewhere like Disney World, Disney have a say, but the taking the photograph things, not allowed. And I think it was is it called the Attorney General? I don't know what
Yeah. Yeah.
the name is for the role out there, but has said that Lily is now apparently under investigation for taking those photographs and posting those photographs online.
Well, hopefully it will stop certain apparently trans people's trans influencers on TikTok and that from doing those stupid videos where basically they're trying to bait people and entrap them. And I think they're doing a disservice to real trans people who just want to get on with life, because this is just people trying to get a rise out of somebody said I said sir, and you're thinking, oh, do me a favor from the back. No, they didn't know.
This is exactly what Lily Tino does.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that don't believe that Lily Tino has gender dysphoria and it maybe isn't trans or is perhaps an autogynephile. But, I mean, I'm not going to judge on that per se, but it's certainly getting to the point where I'm going, And
Yeah.
I've called it out for a long time on my channel. And I find it all very sus that it's all a rage bait. It all seems to be about the
Yeah.
rage bait. And there's a petition going around to remove Lily now from TikTok, and it's got over 500,000 signatures on it. It's got to that point where it's that bad and people just don't want to know anymore.
If we use the same analogy that Boy George used, which is, gay kids don't tell their parents what trans, and he does a simple comparison, I'll do it again then. When I was a young gay person, I didn't go around and try to trap everybody in sight to see if they said something homophobic to me, and then I'd go there because I wanted a quiet life. That's what it was. Do you remember that, Boy George, or were you just in a London mindset? These people, whether they are trans or not, are trying to get red flags. They're trying to get people triggered. They're trying to get people into trouble. They're trying to get people sacked. They're trying to get people cancelled. That is not trying to get a harmonious society. In fact, I'll quote Lorraine Kelly, where we all just get on. Well, that doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help. And it's got to the point now where trans people are going into Lily's comment section and saying things like, you don't represent us. You're not helping.
Yeah.
You're really not helping at all.
And the truth is, shall we stop pretending that there's a community and all this? The flag, the LGBTQ, there's no community. I'm one person. He or she is one person. I'm sorry, you don't represent anyone but yourself. That's it.
The flag, the red flags that were sent to me with this particular content creator was not necessarily the misgendering issues that this content creator seems to cause. It's more to do with the fact that genitalia is represented as food, and it's being posted on a TikTok platform where there are young people.
Yeah.
Lily also read Juno Dawson's book, You Need to Chill, on TikTok. And there's also I don't know how famous she is, but there's a children's YouTuber called Miss Rachel who is very popular with children. And Lily dressed up, same get up, similar background as Miss Rachel, and was Miss Lily, and started teaching children about pronouns.
Ah, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Propaganda.
And I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, so that's alarm bells
Yeah.
going right off there. Yeah, like
Propagandist, I think we call them. Yeah.
activism, whether
Yeah.
genuinely trans or not, that's just pure activism, propaganda. Yeah.
So just to help, Lorraine Kelly who asked the question, can't we? It's just a toilet after all. But trans people are not just better. I mean, well, right. I mean, there's this, of course, the Darlington Hospital, where Wes Street, in the Health Secretary for England, has made sure. Apparently, I think it's a moot point about because there was one trans nurse or doctor that the changing room they were in the Darlington Hospital, suddenly they didn't feel safe in there, and they were given a really awkward place to get changed. The trans person got the whole
Yeah,
changing room to themselves, and
yeah.
all these women who were just saying, "Can I have a woman's space?" suddenly had to disappear.
Mm.
West Streeting has apparently given them a female only room, but it's not the room they had before. So it's not perfect, this, by the way. The trans still wins if there's an argument here.
Yeah.
And the argument is that Scotland and the SNP haven't done anything about their issues yet either. It's still mooted. And of course, remember the transphobic toddler?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, that
went
kid,
down.
yeah, I mean, toxic masculinity.
Wow,
Whoa, this vicious kid. Um,
terrifying.
and I know at the time when everybody was discussing this, can you have a toddler that's phobic anything? No.
No, no.
Maybe
They're more
repeating
likely to be
parents.
scared.
Yeah. I mean, we all know kids who repeat what their parents say, and yes,
Yeah.
there's an issue there, but the kid themselves, no.
No, they'll be scared of things like loud noises or perhaps a bug or something like that. Or maybe, I don't know, something jumped on the TV or something, you know?
Yeah. So
Not
this is
not things like that.
so the headline, the story, what happened, all wrong, disgraceful.
Hmm.
Obviously, we had the LGBT Power Pride list, and your friend's on it. At number two, at number two is your favorite writer,
Oh,
Juno Dawson.
lovely.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. And then while judges and obsessed transphobes spend millions deciding what the word woman means, I want every trans person and their friends to get offline and go for a cup of tea and a little cake and celebrate Juno Dawson. No. And then, of course, do you know this Cole Escola?
No.
Fascinating. Look at this. This is one of the winners of a Tony Award, Cola Scola, who identifies as non-binary, using they them pronouns, get it right, has because first non-binary actor to win a Tony Award. What a chest. I mean,
What was it for?
well, Tony Awards, aren't they the Broadway?
Yeah.
I don't know whether, in a lead role. Now I know, I
They
suppose
made it genderless now, have they?
yeah, has become the first non-binary actor to win a Tony Award in a lead role. So I know they may not have said actor or actress, but the thing is, wow, gosh, that's a look.
Why is it actor? Because that would suggest man. Non-binary actor.
No, I mean, what the hell is not? I'm sorry, I don't buy into half this crap. I don't. And I did see it said in schools, by the way, non-binary. I think kids are still trying to work out, A and B quite a lot of the time. Never mind, give them some algebra. That'll bamboozle them. But non-binary, I mean, how is it a kid I mean, they still find maths hard, and yet they go, "I'm non-binary, gender fluid, pan." And you go, "Oh, really? You've worked that out, have you?" Yeah, at the age
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah. Do you know, you just made me think of something. I was watching, I think it might have been a Mr. H video, just randomly popped up on my timeline the other day. I hadn't seen anything from him for a little while, so I clicked on it. It was all to do with the Ezra Miller, and he was reading the article, and there was just this moment where he sort of like went, he was trying to read it, and they address Ezra as they in the article, and he read it, but then he went to read another bit of the article where it also said they, but it wasn't talking about Ezra Miller. It confused him because they were talking about something else that was to do with Ezra Miller. So yeah, and he
Oh,
got cross.
well,
Because he said they, and then he went to read they, and he was like, "No, he, no, 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 it is they, it is they."
I can't deal with it. I'm sorry, I can't do 30 years of English teaching and put up with they. I cannot. No, sorry,
It's
can't
just
do it.
difficult to adjust
It
that
is,
sort of
and
thing.
you don't need to because there's the rules of grammar, and then there's this kind of nonsense. This version, of course, in the last few months
Yeah.
we had how many versions of basically men in trans in women. Say it again. Men in women's sport winning. Who knew?
Oh, who knew?
So this one,
Oh, go on.
I mean, sorry, no, sorry. Trans high jumper who came in last against the boys wins first place in the girls.
Oh, funny that, isn't it?
What an improve! I want their coach. Female fencer disqualified after declining to fight a trans opponent, feared for career and personal life before viral protest. And then the other one that's done the rounds again because of things have changed actually since the Olympics.
Yes.
Um, Amin Khalif, two
Mm,
failed gender tests that led to her ban from boxing, and how woke campaigners ignored warning signs to allow her to compete at the Olympic Games.
mm.
Um, and now they want the gold medals returned. Well, to be quite honest, that's how it works. It's how it worked with these Europeans. Sharon Davies fought that fight.
Yeah, if there's theory going around that it's that a man's got DSD,
Yeah,
dissociative sex disorder. It's illegal to be trans anyway. From where's she from? Algeria. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So DSD it's not a great situation to be in. But if you test higher in the testosterone and you're not allowed to compete, then you shouldn't be competing.
I
It's
know,
for safety.
especially boxing. It is for safety. I
Yeah.
mean, there's been too many brain injuries, and so yeah.
Yeah, especially boxing. Yeah.
Well, all the fuss last year in the Olympics when she won,
Mm.
and everybody went mad about that Italian female boxer who oh God, I think they gave in, didn't they? Because they just
Yeah.
said this is just too much.
It was the
And
hardest, one of the hardest blows she's ever had, or something.
yeah, and that
Angela
destroyed.
Carini, I think her name was.
That was the end of her Olympics. You trained for
That's
this,
it.
and everybody going mad at the time. There were those going mad saying this is dangerous, and then there were
Mm,
other people saying, "How dare you do this to this poor person?" Now, her story might be very sad if
mm.
it is that medical issue, but that you can't endanger a woman just
No.
because you have to give somebody an elevated
And
status.
they were saying, "Oh, it's just female on the passport." Well, even if that's the case,
Nah,
you got to listen to the test results.
yeah,
Safety.
and so the truth is, you keep coming back to like the Supreme Court did. You know, it's got to be facts. The trouble is, even doctors in our country are condemning the Supreme Court ruling on trans women as scientifically illiterate. Do you know, I feel as though this country is lost in some ways. You sometimes think, does nobody know sense now? I mean, Keir Starmer flip flopped again and he now knows what a woman is. I mean, we're
Yeah.
making some progress.
Well, the gender is all to do with how the brain is wired, really, at the end of the day, whereas the sex is bone structure and what defines us as who we are.
And as they say, when you've died and if you were buried and people looked at your
You're
skeleton,
gonna
it's quite
say,
obviously what you are, male or female.
yeah.
But did you know this though? So men who are trans and are in female sports tend to do very well. But also, I mean, you women are losing on this. This is the next one. Transgender women are better lovers than women. Boast straight. So do you know what? It's win-win-win for trans, isn't it? It's like they're
It's
better lovers.
win-win.
Oh, I give up, honestly. I joke about. And this, I thought this was intriguing. I saw this. The people who are actually saying, look, this is complicated stuff,
Hmm.
talks about the trans umbrella and the dangers and harms it hides. And they were talking about the vulnerable, the trendy hop-ons, the predators. It's cleverly done, and it tries to say, look, and by the way, none of this is attacking the trans issue. I do have sympathy for the real trans people. I think it's the people who are on the fringes, who are influencers, who are trying to do something else with that issue, like fame, etc., that I think is endangering it all. So basically, it kind of listed, the people with mental. I mean, I've mentioned some of the vulnerable because I saw them in school. They thought they were trans, but there were other complications going on. Now, on the next page, that bottom bit is basically who's holding the umbrella, Rachel, and of course, who's helping this issue gather momentum when actually is nobody going to say the truth. So you've got the parents going, better a trans child than a dead one. Confused public. Well, we support LGBTQ. We don't want to be cancelled. Bandwagoning politicians and indulged celebrities. Tenant. Power principles. Some women have penises. Driven women with sport. And it goes through. You can see from pharmaceuticals, modern day. Well, Mengeler's, yeah. The media, there's no truth except my truth. And if you disagree, you're a bigot and must be destroyed. In the universities, in the medical practice, in the law, although the Supreme Court's not back, in our politicians, in our actors, there's a big bandwagon, and even scared parents who are saying, well, obviously, we want our child to live. And, if they are trans, what do we do? But they're having that battle because Star Beast was shown. They're having that battle because, as you say, some of the influencers on TikTok are confusing the issue, and that's unfair to parents and kids. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's what's going on around us that is creating a lot of the issues. It's also trendy. People want to be hip.
Yeah. It's like we had, I think it must be about 10 years ago now, we said a lot of our year 10 girls, it was lesbian chic. We said it was just, I mean, it wasn't me, it was the head of year, it was a female. She said, oh, I'm suffering from lesbian chic. She said, half my girls are lesbians, apparently. She said, bloody hell, I thought it was 1 in 10. It was like, I know she said it's more like 1 in 2 at the moment. She said, of course, when we had the school prom, at the end, no, there was no lesbian chic going on then. No.
Of course there wasn't.
But
There's the one that's going around at the moment, Jojo Siwa. That's all in question. Is she a lesbian, or is she bisexual, or is she straight? What's going on?
God, it sounds like the Boy George years all over again. Gender bending. So I just wanted to show you some of these. People take snapshots wherever they are, whether they're in Lanarkshire NHS pediatrics clinic with my young child, only to be faced with this advert. Why are politics and ideologies being pushed in a healthcare setting meant for children? The very point you were making, Rachel, a minute ago. So what is LGBTI? Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex. I know. I mean, and this is like they say, it's a pediatrics clinic. So you think, is this education? Is this necessary? Is this propaganda? And then, of course, you see what goes into primary school books now. What does LGBTQ mean? Oh, right. Let's teach each other now here, right, Rachel? Because we're at school, right? You're in primary school. Go into roll. Okay. Here we go. L is a lesbian, a woman who is attracted to other women. Right, okay. Right. And there's the flag. And there's a lovely illustration, just in case I'm not sure. And then gay, a man who is attracted to other men, or a woman who is attracted to other women is gay. And there's 2 couples with a baby. Suddenly there's a baby. I mean, The other one, why do the lesbians not have a baby at the top one? Anyway, B, bisexual. A person who is attracted to both men and women is bisexual, and then you've got a big black, I think, woman. I don't know. So, whoa, I'm loud and proud. I'm the black Billie Jean. No, sorry. And then T, transgender, and it's got the longest one, of course. A person who was born male but feels like a woman, or a person who was born female but feels like a man is transgender. This can also mean a person who doesn't feel like a man or a woman. Or do we need this for kids, really?
No,
I don't think so.
nah, not really. The only children that theoretically would be exposed to this information will be children that are born into lesbian or gay families,
Yeah, yeah. But the
and
amount of
that's because that's their family.
and to make sure they're represented now, there's millions of books. My
Mm.
daddy is pregnant. It's got all the chaos that goes. But and you think, oh,
But that doesn't mean to say though that they should know about the others.
no. The Bari I find interesting as an example, which is this is for primary school. Bisexual is like, whoa, we're going into. You haven't worked out. You you've worked out men and women or boys and girls.
Mm.
That's where you are. And actually, you still should be innocent. You're still believing in Father Christmas and everything. And for God's sake, you're still checking the tooth fairies left something.
Mm.
And then suddenly you need to know about bisexuality. I have to say, can everybody just kind of listen to what I've just said then? You want them to believe in Father Christmas and all that. And then your next minute is if the tooth's on the pillow, you give them some money. And the next minute, you're making sure that they have learned before bed what non-binary is and what the intersex is. It's like, come on. It doesn't make sense. Get them the book. Stocking fillers for Christmas. God. So, no, I think it's a disaster. And of course, just to round off this show, our favorite one, I know you saw it as well because you were sharing it, and I was thinking, I know I've got to do this one. I think everybody saw it and thought, good. And I actually always have liked Martin Croxall. I think there's been another occasion when she's kicked back. She's never been completely popular with the people at the BBC, I think last time. But this time they have. Good for her. They've backed her this time.
Yeah.
BBC News presenter Martin Croxall refuses to say pregnant people as she corrects the teleprompter live on air and says women, and she also rolled her eyes
I know.
brilliantly.
It was her face that said it. Oh, I laughed out loud. I was like, good. And I hope that she is well protected within the law to not be reprimanded for that. I know she was reading a quote, but she corrected the quote. That's what she did. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But if she is, I'll donate quite happily to her legal fund. But she should be protected because it's a gender critical view. She's not harassing anyone,
No,
so she should be protected by that law.
Madu, you know how they've got us by the short and curlies.
Oh,
They
true.
call it a microaggression, don't they? Rolling the eyes. In fact, didn't we in Robot Revolution have rolling of the eyes makes you a toxic masculine boyfriend? Remember that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. RTD thinks it's up there with Hitler. I'm sure, it's unbelievable. So we have rounded everything off. I could go on. Rachel. Mothers to be called pregnant participants in government report. It's everywhere. When you've been accidentally added to the group chat, look at that. No, and remember that the parents recently in a WhatsApp group complaining about the school, and in the end they were
Yeah.
blooming arrested. The world is going mad, but the main thing is we decide what was the wokest of them all in today's show, and I'll put the list up here. So I'll go a little bit bigger. So there you go. You've got your list there. Jinkx Monsoon, I believe Maestro is misunderstood, isn't as bad as you think. The Black History Propaganda, John Boyega. The Black James Bond Possibility, Safe Spaces, Misuse of Toilets. Toddler, Trans in Female Sport, Boy George on Trans and J.K. Rowling. The BBC newsreader correcting the pregnant person, and the LGBTQ education and, I say, propaganda.
Well, I think the funniest one has got to be pregnant person. That's the funniest one because of Martine's reaction. But I would say, oh goodness me, I'm going to go with Boy George.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I found that the tastiest to get my head. I just thought, oh, you're attacking J.K. Rowling. I still haven't found a quote from her that's out of order. But they
No,
make
not
her
right.
sound as though she's terrible. She just won't stop. You know what I mean? But India Willoughby, hello.
Oh, hello, India Willoughby. Yeah,
Yeah.
saint apparently.
Seems Indian Willoughby and Narinder Kaur, you must have seen her doing the circuit on telly.
Mm.
Narinder Kaur, you know the certain, you're thinking they seem to be given just a green flag, whereas a green light. Meanwhile, okay. So I actually think we agree. I mean, we had a whole list
We
there, but we
agree.
seem to agree. So thank you, Rachel.
Thank
Chat
you.
about it, don't shout about it.
Mhm.
I have the scroll down the bottom here. There it is. So chat about it, don't shout about it. You know Rachel. Most of you knew Rachel when she's on ours, and you all also go on her channel and vice versa. There's a lot of that going on. As you know, I tend to be Doctor Who. She tends to be broader and different days for different things. You cover a whole gamut, don't you?
Oh, I do. Yeah, woke news, TikToks, entertainment. Doctor Who is only specifically dedicated to Sunday, unless we've got a series on, then it's probably the weekend. But yeah, there's also posts galore and polls and all of that. And yeah, don't I know that I get told off by YouTube, but I
Oh,
don't care.
no. Repost, advertiser, spread the word, chat about it, don't shout about it. So thank you, Rachel.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.